Hello there, dear friends. Welcome. It's so lovely to have you here, settling in, perhaps after a long day, or maybe as you're looking for a little island of calm in a busy week. And speaking of busy, does life ever feel like you're juggling just a few too many things? You know the feeling. The phone is buzzing, the to-do list seems to be growing its own to-do list, and balance feels like a mythical creature you've only heard about in stories. One moment you're trying to be the star employee, the next the perfect partner or parent, then the ever-present friend, and somewhere in all that, you're supposed to find time for, well, you. It can be a bit much, can it? Leading to that feeling of being stretched, little frayed around the edges, perhaps even a touch crispy from burnout? Is there, perhaps, a more peaceful way to navigate all of this? Can we truly be engaged with our work, dedicated to our lives, without feeling like we're constantly running on empty? Well, I have some wonderfully good news. For thousands of years, long before smartphones and 24/7 emails, a very wise tradition has been exploring exactly these kinds of questions. Questions about the human heart, about stress, about finding peace right in the middle of life's beautiful and sometimes chaotic dance. I'm talking, of course, about the teachings of the Buddha. Now, when we say Buddhist approaches, please don't think this is about becoming a monk or nun or retreating to a faraway monastery. Unless that's your calling, of course. For most of us, it's about discovering these timeless, incredibly practical nuggets of wisdom that can be woven into the very fabric of our everyday lives, our work lives, our home lives, to bring a little more ease, a little more clarity, and yes, even a little more joy. So, over the next little while together, we're going to gently explore some of these beautiful ideas. We'll touch upon the magic of simply being present. What a concept, eh? Through something called mindfulness, we'll chat about finding a middle way, a sweet spot that avoids those tricky extremes of too much and too little that can trip us up. We'll even ponder what it means to have a right livelihood and how our work can feel more meaningful. And we'll delve into the gentle arts of compassion and something called detachment, which isn't about not caring, but about caring deeply without getting so tangled up in the outcomes. The hope is that you'll leave with not just food for thought, but perhaps a few simple, soothing practices you can begin to play with. And one last little thought before we dive in, perhaps the word balance itself sets us up for a bit of a struggle. It sounds so precise, so static, like a tightrope walker who daren't wobble. Maybe a more helpful and gentler aim is a kind of harmonious integration. Imagine an orchestra where all the different instruments, with their unique sounds and rhythms, come together to create beautiful music. Work and life, each with its own demands and joys, can be like that too. Not perfectly balanced perhaps, but playing together in a way that feels whole and peaceful and deeply true to who you are. So, if you're ready, take a soft breath in and a gentle breath out. And let's begin. Okay, let us gently continue our journey together. Now that we've set our intention to explore this path towards a more harmonious way of living and working, it's helpful to understand a little bit about the foundational views that Buddhism offers. And it all starts with a very honest, very human observation. You see, in the Buddhist tradition, there's this word, dukkha. It often gets translated as suffering. And while that's part of it, it's also so much more nuanced, more like a gentle acknowledgement of the inherent unsatisfactoriness, the out-of-kilterness that can creep into life. It's that subtle background hum of stress, that feeling of things not being quite right, the anxieties that niggle at us about our work. Am I doing enough? Will this project succeed? What if I fail? What if I get too successful and can't handle it? It's the pressure of unrealistic expectations we put on ourselves or that we feel from the world around us. It's that tight feeling in the chest when we're attached to a particular outcome, wanting things to be a certain way, and then feeling disappointed or frustrated when they're not. Dukkha isn't about saying life is all bad. Not at all. There's so much joy, so much beauty. But it is about courageously and kindly acknowledging that these moments of discomfort, of stress, of feeling a bit lost or overwhelmed, are a natural part of the human experience. It's not a personal failing if you feel these things. It's simply part of being alive. And the wonderful thing is, acknowledging this is the very first step towards easing it. So, if this dukkha, this stress and dissatisfaction is a common thread, where does it really come from? And more importantly, what can we do about it? Well, The Buddhist teachings offer a revolutionary idea, especially for its time. And just as relevant today, it's not so much the external circumstances, the demanding job, the busy schedule, the difficult colleague, that are the primary cause of our distress, but rather our mind's reaction to them. Our internal landscape, our thoughts, our perceptions, our habitual ways of responding, this is where the magic happens. Both the creation of stress and, wonderfully, the potential for peace. Imagine your mind is like a garden. If we unconsciously let weeds of worry, frustration, and blame grow wild, then our experience will naturally be thorny and uncomfortable. But if we learn to tend to this inner garden, to cultivate seeds of clarity, calm, and kindness, then even when the storms of life blow through, as they inevitably do, we have a sanctuary within us. The mind, in this view, isn't just a passive receiver of information. It's an active shaper of our reality. And the beautiful implication here is that we can train it. We can actually cultivate qualities that lead to less reactivity, more resilience, and a deeper sense of well-being, regardless of what's happening on the outside. It's incredibly empowering, isn't it? The key to a more peaceful work-life experience isn't necessarily changing everything out there, but gently, patiently, working with what's in here. And there's one more jewel from this foundational understanding that can be so helpful, especially when we're feeling stuck or overwhelmed by work pressures or life changes. It's the teaching on Anicca, or impermanence. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. Think about it. The seasons change, our bodies change, that challenging project at work will eventually end. Even moments of great success or intense difficulty will pass. Now, sometimes the mind resists this. We want to cling to the good times, desperately wishing they'd last forever. And we want to push away the difficult times, equally desperately wishing they'd vanish immediately. But this clinging and resisting, this fighting against the natural flow of life, is a big source of our stress. When we can gently start to accept the truth of impermanence, something remarkable happens. We can still fully appreciate the good moments, knowing they are precious because they are transient. And during tough times at work, or when life feels particularly heavy, remembering "this too shall pass" isn't just a platitude. It's a profound truth that can bring a sense of lightness and perspective. It helps us let go of rigid expectations, to be a little more flexible, a little more flowing with the unfolding nature of our jobs, our careers, and our lives. That difficult client? Impermanent. That overwhelming workload? It will shift. Even our own feelings about it all. They come, they go, like clouds in the sky. This understanding doesn't mean we become passive. It means we can act with wisdom, knowing that we don't need to be quite so tightly wound around any particular state. So, with this gentle understanding of dukkha, the power of our own minds, and the ever-present flow of impermanence, we have a beautiful foundation upon which to build a more harmonious approach to our work and our lives. It's from this understanding that the practical, transformative principles we're about to explore truly blossom. All right, dear friends, let's gently turn our attention now to one of the most beautiful and practical jewels that Buddhist wisdom offers us for navigating our busy lives, the practice of mindfulness. Now, mindfulness, it's a word we hear a lot these days, isn't it? And sometimes it can seem a bit vague or even a little intimidating, perhaps conjuring images of hours spent in silent meditation. And while formal meditation is indeed a wonderful way to cultivate mindfulness, the essence of mindfulness itself is beautifully simple. The Pali word for it is Sati, and it carries a sense of remembering, of bringing the mind back. Back to what? Back to right here, right now. It's about paying attention, on purpose, in the present moment. And this is a lovely, gentle part, without judgment. Imagine your mind is like a little puppy, full of energy, easily distracted, chasing after every thought, every worry, every memory that flits by. Mindfulness is like gently, kindly, training that puppy to sit, to be present, to notice what's actually happening around it and within it, without immediately reacting or getting carried away. It's not about emptying the mind. That's a common misconception. Thoughts will still come and go, like clouds in the sky. Mindfulness is about changing our relationship to those thoughts. It's about noticing them, acknowledging them, and then gently guiding our attention back to the present, to the feeling of our breath, to the sounds around us, to the task at hand. It's a warm, friendly awareness. So how can this wonderful quality of presence help us with that work-life juggle we were talking about? Oh, in so many delightful ways. Think about your workday. How often do we find ourselves physically present at our desk, but mentally, well, we're replaying a conversation from yesterday, worrying about a meeting tomorrow, or mentally making a grocery list? Our bodies are here, but our minds are on a grand tour of the past and future. This is where so much stress and inefficiency can creep in. Mindfulness at work can look like choosing to do one thing at a time, single tasking instead of that frantic, fragmenting multitasking that often leaves us feeling more scattered than productive. When you're writing that email, just write the email. Feel the keys under your fingertips. See the words appear on the screen. When you're in a meeting, truly listen to what's being said, not just waiting for your turn to speak or letting your mind drift to your next task. This is mindful communication, offering your full presence to another person. It's a gift, and it doesn't have to be a big production. You can take tiny mindful breaks, perhaps between tasks. Just pause. Take one conscious breath. Notice the feeling of your feet on the floor. Look out the window for a moment and really see what's there. These little anchors to the present can be incredibly refreshing, helping to reset the mind and prevent that buildup of tension. It's like giving your mind little sips of water throughout the day. And of course, this beautiful practice isn't just for the office. It can transform our experience of daily life too, bringing a richer quality to even the most ordinary moments. Imagine washing the dishes. Often, we rush through it, mind elsewhere. But what if you were to bring mindfulness to it? Feel the warmth of the water, the slipperiness of the soap, the sensation of the plate in your hands. It sounds simple, and it is, but it changes the texture of the experience from a chore to, well, just an experience, unfolding in the present. You can practice mindful eating, really tasting your food, noticing the aromas, the textures, rather than gobbling it down while scrolling on your phone. You can take a mindful walk, feeling the movement of your body, the air on your skin, noticing the sights and sounds around you. When you're with your loved ones, your family, your friends, can you offer them your full, attentive presence? That's mindfulness in action, and it's one of the most precious gifts we can give, fostering deeper connection and understanding. It's about being with life, not just rushing through it. And because this is all about simple, gentle practice, let me offer a tiny invitation right now. Wherever you are, just for a moment, see if you can bring your awareness to your breath. You don't need to change it in any way. Just notice it. Notice the sensation of the air entering your body and the sensation of the air leaving your body. Perhaps you feel it at the tip of your nose or the rise and fall of your chest or abdomen. Just for one breath, or maybe two, or even three. There, just like that. A little moment of mindfulness, a little anchor to the present. That's all it takes to begin. This simple act of returning again and again with kindness to the here and now is the heart of mindfulness, and it's a profoundly supportive friend to have as we navigate the dance of work and life. Okay, my dear friends, having touched upon the gentle art of being present with mindfulness, let us now wander down another beautiful path offered by Buddhist wisdom, a path that can bring such sanity and ease to our often hectic lives. This is the path known as the Majjhimā Paṭipadā, or the middle way. Now, the middle way. Doesn't that just sound sensible? It's not about being mediocre or wishy-washy or compromising on our values. Oh no, it's a path of wisdom, a dynamic and intelligent way of navigating life by steering clear of the unhelpful extremes that so often lead to stress and dissatisfaction. The Buddha, in his own journey, experienced both extremes. The extreme of indulgent luxury in his early life as a prince, and later, the extreme of severe asceticism, of harsh self-denial, when he was seeking enlightenment. And what he discovered, profoundly, was that neither of these extremes led to true peace or lasting happiness. True liberation, true well-being, he found, lies in this beautiful, balanced middle way. It's like tuning a guitar string. If it's too loose, it won't make a sound, or it will be flat and dull. If it's too tight, it will be shrill, and it might even snap. The sweetest music comes when the string is tuned just right, in that middle ground. So, how does this ancient wisdom of the middle way help us in our modern work lives, with all their demands and pressures? Well, let's consider some of those extremes we can so easily fall into. One common one is workaholism, isn't it? That relentless drive to work longer and longer hours, pushing ourselves to the brink of exhaustion, believing that our worth is solely tied to our productivity. Our society sometimes even glorifies this, doesn't it? But the middle way would gently ask, is this sustainable? Is this truly bringing you joy? Or is it leading to burnout, strained relationships, and a neglect of other vital parts of your life? It's the too tight string. Then there's the other extreme, perhaps procrastination, disengagement, or a kind of apathy towards our work. Maybe we feel overwhelmed, so we shut down. Or perhaps we feel a lack of purpose, so we do the bare minimum. This is the too loose string. It doesn't serve us, and it likely doesn't serve others either. The middle way in our work encourages us to find a path of sustainable effort, of diligent engagement without drivenness. It's about working skillfully, with focus and dedication during our work time, but also knowing when to rest, when to recharge, when to disconnect and nourish other aspects of our being. It's about finding that sweet spot between striving and surrendering, effort and ease. And this wisdom of the middle way extends so beautifully beyond our professional lives into our entire lifestyle. Think about our consumption habits. One extreme might be overconsumption, constantly seeking happiness through acquiring more things, more experiences, more stimulation, always chasing the next hit of fleeting pleasure. The other extreme might be an overly austere or restrictive approach, denying ourselves simple joys or comforts out of a sense of guilt or rigidity. The middle way invites us to find a healthy moderation, enjoying life's pleasures without becoming enslaved by them, being mindful of what truly nourishes us versus what simply distracts or depletes us. This applies to how we engage with technology too, doesn't it? One extreme is being constantly tethered to our devices, endlessly scrolling, caught in the whirlwind of digital noise. The other might be a complete Luddite rejection of helpful technology. The middle way here might be about conscious usage, using technology for connection, for learning, for efficiency, but also knowing when to switch off, to be present in the non-digital world, to allow our minds the quiet space they need. It's about balancing our ambitions with a sense of contentment for what we already have, balancing our desire for growth with an appreciation for the present moment. So, the invitation of the middle way is a gentle one. It's not about judgment, but about kind inquiry. Perhaps you might like to ponder this for a moment, either now or later, in a quiet time. Where in my work or in my life do I notice myself leaning towards an extreme? Is there a too tight or a too loose string in my experience right now? Just noticing, with that friendly mindfulness we spoke of, is the first step. And from that noticing, we can begin to gently, skillfully guide ourselves back towards that harmonious, life-affirming middle way, where true balance and sustainable well-being are found. It's a continuous dance, a constant series of small adjustments, bringing us ever closer to a feeling of inner rightness and peace. My dear friends, as we continue to explore these beautiful Buddhist principles that can help us weave more peace and harmony into our lives, we come to a truly significant one, especially in the context of our work. This is the principle of Sammā Ājīva, which translates from Pali as right livelihood. Now, right livelihood? It sounds quite noble, doesn't it? And it is. It's actually one of the essential limbs of the Buddha's Noble Eightfold Path, the very path that leads to the end of suffering and the arising of deep wisdom and compassion. So, it's rather important. But what does it actually mean for us in our everyday lives, trying to make a living in the 21st century? At its core, right livelihood is about engaging in work that is ethical, that doesn't cause harm to ourselves or to others, and that ideally, if possible, contributes positively to the well-being of the world in some way, big or small. It's about earning our living in a way that aligns with our deepest values, a way that allows us to maintain our integrity and self-respect. Traditionally, this meant avoiding occupations that directly involve killing, stealing, lying, sexual misconduct, or dealing in intoxicants or weapons, things that clearly create suffering. But we can expand this to think more broadly about the impact our work has. This naturally leads us to a wonderful opportunity for reflection. How does my current work align with what I truly value? Does it contribute something positive, or at least not negative, to the world? Does it allow me to act with honesty and fairness? Now, this isn't about judging ourselves or others harshly. Life is complex, and we all do what we need to do. but it is an invitation to consider the intention and the impact of our professional lives. Sometimes, we might find ourselves in jobs that don't feel particularly grand or world-changing. Perhaps it's data entry, or customer service, or managing accounts. The beauty of right livelihood is that it's not just about what you do, but also very much about how you do it and why you do it. Can you bring a sense of care, diligence, and ethical conduct to whatever your work is? Can you find meaning in serving others, even in seemingly small ways? For instance, if you're in customer service, can you see your role as genuinely helping people, easing their frustrations, offering a moment of human connection? If you're managing finances, can you do so with utter integrity and transparency? This shifts the focus from just the task to the quality of presence and the ethical intention you bring. This is how even seemingly mundane work can become a practice of right livelihood. It's about infusing our work with purpose, recognizing that our efforts, when offered with a good heart, ripple outwards. And this brings us to a very important point. Exploring right livelihood doesn't necessarily mean you have to quit your job tomorrow if it doesn't feel like you're saving the world. For some, a career change might indeed be part of their path, and that's wonderful. But for many of us, it's about cultivating the attitudes and qualities of right livelihood right where we are. How do you interact with your colleagues? Are you supportive, honest, and kind? How do you treat your clients or customers? Do you uphold your ethical responsibilities? Do you take pride in doing your work well, with attention and care, regardless of who is watching? These are all ways to practice right livelihood from the inside out. It's about transforming our relationship to our work, seeing it not just as a means to an end, a paycheck, but as an arena for practicing our values, for cultivating our best human qualities. When we begin to see our work through this lens, it can profoundly change our experience of it, imbuing it with a deeper sense of meaning and satisfaction, and contributing to a feeling of wholeness between what we believe and how we live and work. It's about making our daily grind a little less of a grind and a little more of a conscious, worthy path. Okay, dear friends, as we draw these threads of wisdom together, we arrive at a pair of qualities that might, at first glance, seem like opposites, but in the Buddhist understanding, are beautiful dance partners that lead to a truly healthy and heartfelt engagement with our work and life. These are the qualities of Nekkhamma, which we can understand as a form of detachment or renunciation, and Karuna, which is compassion. Now, the word detachment can sometimes sound a bit cold, can it? Like not caring or being aloof. But in the Buddhist sense, Nekkhamma is something far warmer and more liberating. It's not about emotional suppression or indifference. Rather, it's about freedom from clinging. It's about loosening our tight grip on outcomes, on results, on our ego's desires for things to be a certain way. Think about how much stress and anxiety comes from being desperately attached to success or terrified of failure. We invest so much of our identity in whether that project gets praised, or whether we get that promotion, or whether everything goes exactly according to our meticulously laid plan. This clinging, this tight holding, is a recipe for suffering, because life, as we know, is wonderfully unpredictable. Detachment, then, is like opening the hand. It's about understanding that we can pour our best effort, our full heart, into what we do, but the ultimate outcome is often out of our complete control. It's a gentle letting go of the need to control everything, and finding a sense of ease within that. So, how does this wise detachment play out in the workplace? It means you give your absolute best to that presentation, you prepare diligently, you speak with clarity and passion, and then you let it go. You detach from whether everyone loves it, or whether it leads to the exact result you hoped for. You've done your part. This doesn't mean you don't care about doing good work. It means your peace of mind isn't solely dependent on external validation or a specific outcome. When criticism comes, as it sometimes does, detachment allows you to hear it without it feeling like a personal attack. You can listen for any truth in it, learn from it if appropriate, but not let it shatter your sense of self-worth. When setbacks occur, a deal falls through, a deadline is missed despite your best efforts. Detachment helps you to meet these moments with a little more equanimity, a little less reactivity, so you can then respond skillfully rather than from a place of frustration or despair. It's a resilience builder. Now, here's where the beautiful partner, Karuna or compassion, steps in. If detachment were practiced in isolation, it could perhaps lead to a kind of disengagement. But compassion is the tender heart that ensures our detachment is wise and warm, not cold or indifferent. Compassion is the deep wish for ourselves and for others to be free from suffering. It's that feeling of connection, of empathy, of kindness. So, while we practice detaching from outcomes, we engage with our work and the people around us with immense care and compassion. We see our colleagues not just as cogs in a machine, but as fellow human beings, each with their own struggles, their own hopes, their own dukkha that we talked about earlier. We approach our tasks with a compassionate intention, perhaps to serve our clients well, to support our team, to contribute something of value. And very importantly, we extend that compassion to ourselves. When we inevitably fall short, or make mistakes, or feel overwhelmed, self-compassion is the gentle voice that says, "It's okay, you're human, be kind to yourself." This beautiful interplay of detachment and compassion naturally arises when we begin to glimpse the Buddhist teaching of interconnectedness. The idea that we are all fundamentally linked, your well-being affects my well-being, and vice versa. When we see this, our actions at work are no longer just about me and my success. They become about contributing to a larger whole. Compassion flows more easily when we realize that the stress our manager is showing might be because of pressures we don't see, or that a challenging client is also just trying to navigate their own difficulties. Detachment allows us to not get caught in their distress, while compassion allows us to respond with kindness and understanding. It's this beautiful balance, engaging fully with an open heart, while holding on to outcomes lightly. This creates a way of working and living that is both effective and deeply, wonderfully human. My dear friends, having explored these wonderfully rich principles, the presence of mindfulness, the balance of the middle way, the ethics of right livelihood, and the heartfelt dance of detachment and compassion, you might be thinking, this all sounds lovely, but how do I actually do this? How do I bring this into my very real, very busy life? And that is such an important and beautiful question. So, let's spend a few moments together now, looking at some simple, practical ways to begin integrating these ideas, to weave them gently into the fabric of your days. One lovely way to start is with intention. At the beginning of your day, perhaps before you even dive into your emails or your to-do list, take just a moment. It could be while you're sipping your morning tea or coffee. Instead of setting rigid, outcome-focused goals that can sometimes create pressure, try setting a gentle intention. For example, your intention for the workday might be, today, I will practice mindful listening in my meetings. Or, today, I will approach my tasks with a sense of calm and clarity. Or, today, I will remember to be kind to myself, especially if things get challenging. This isn't about forcing anything. It's about planting a seed in the mind, a gentle reminder of how you'd like to navigate your day. And because life is wonderfully unpredictable, as we know from our understanding of impermanence, this intentionality also comes with a beautiful flexibility. If things don't go as planned, and they often don't, your intention can be a soft place to land, a guide to help you reorient with grace rather than frustration. Another very practical application, particularly guided by the wisdom of the middle way, is learning to cultivate healthy boundaries. In our always-on world, it can feel like work is constantly spilling over into our personal lives, and vice versa. Boundaries are not about building walls to shut people out. They are about creating sacred spaces for rest, for rejuvenation, for connection with loved ones, and for simply being. This might look like deciding to not check work emails after a certain hour, or dedicating specific times for focused work and specific times for breaks. Learning to say no sometimes, skillfully and without guilt, is a vital part of this. It's not about being unhelpful, but about recognizing your own capacity, your own needs. When you say no to one thing, you are often saying yes to something else that is equally important for your well-being. Perhaps yes to rest, yes to family, yes to your own peace of mind. This is the middle way in action, not overextending, not under-engaging, but finding that sustainable rhythm. And as we walk this path, it's so wonderfully helpful to remember that we don't have to do it all alone. In Buddhism, there's a beautiful concept called Sangha, which traditionally refers to the monastic community, but in a broader sense, it means a community of spiritual friends, of like-minded individuals who are also on a path of growth and understanding. In our context of work-life harmony, Your Sangha could be supportive colleagues who share similar values, friends with whom you can have honest conversations about these challenges, or even a mentor who embodies some of these qualities you aspire to. Sharing your experiences, your successes, your wobbles with trusted others can be incredibly affirming and encouraging. Sometimes just knowing you're not the only one trying to navigate these waters can make all the difference. Perhaps you might even inspire each other with little practices or insights. Finally, integration happens through simple, consistent daily practices. It doesn't have to be an hour of meditation every day, unless that calls to you. It can be those tiny mindful moments we spoke of, taking 3 conscious breaths before starting a new task. It could be a short morning reflection on your intention for the day. Perhaps it's choosing 1 meal a day to eat mindfully, without distractions. Or maybe, at the end of the day, taking a few moments for a simple gratitude practice, noticing 3 things, however small, that you felt grateful for. These little drops of practice, repeated gently and consistently, begin to water the seeds of mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom within you. They accumulate, and over time, they can truly transform your experience of both work and life, making it feel less like a relentless rush and more like a meaningful journey. And so, dear friends, as our time together for now gently draws to a close, let's just pause for a moment and gather these beautiful threads we've been exploring. We've wandered through the lovely garden of Buddhist wisdom, haven't we? We touched upon the profound simplicity of mindfulness, that gentle invitation to simply be present with our experience, right here, right now. We explored the sanity and balance of the middle way, steering clear of those unhelpful extremes that can cause us so much stress in our work and in our lives. We pondered the deep significance of right livelihood, seeking ways to bring our ethics and our values into how we earn our living. And we felt into the beautiful interplay of detachment and compassion, learning to engage with our world with an open, caring heart, while holding outcomes a little more lightly. These are not just abstract concepts. They are living, breathing invitations to a different way of being. Now, as you carry these ideas with you, please remember this. This is a path, a journey, not a destination where you suddenly arrive at perfect work-life balance nirvana. Oh no, it's much more human, much more gentle than that. There will be days when you feel wonderfully mindful and balanced, and there will be days when you feel like you're juggling way too many balls again and dropping most of them, and that is perfectly okay. This is a practice, a continuous unfolding. The key is to be kind to yourself through it all, to bring that lovely quality of self-compassion we spoke about. Each moment is a new moment to begin again, to gently guide yourself back. It's not about achieving some flawless state. It's about the sincerity of your intention, the gentleness of your effort. Those small, consistent efforts, a mindful breath here, a moment of choosing the middle way there, an act of quiet compassion, these are the things that, over time, weave a new tapestry of experience. And what are the fruits of this gentle path? Well, what we hope begins to blossom is a greater sense of peace, even when the world around you is a little chaotic, a deeper sense of purpose, as you align your actions more closely with your values, and a growing resilience, an ability to navigate the ups and downs of work and life with a little more grace, a little less reactivity. It's about finding that calm harbor within yourself, that wellspring of wisdom that you can always return to. It's not about eliminating challenges, life will always have its challenges, but about transforming your relationship to those challenges, meeting them with greater clarity, courage, and a compassionate heart. The aim is a life that feels more integrated, more whole, where your work and your personal life can nourish each other, rather than feeling like they are constantly at war. So, as we part ways for now, my gentle encouragement to you is simply this. Perhaps choose one little thing, one tiny seed from our conversation today that resonated with you. Maybe it's the idea of taking 3 mindful breaths before your next meeting. Perhaps it's reflecting for a moment on where you might find a little more of that middle way. Or maybe it's simply setting a kind intention for your day tomorrow. Just one small, gentle action. That's all it takes to begin. Thank you so much for sharing this time, for your openness, and for your beautiful presence. May you walk your path with ease. May you find moments of joy in the everyday. And may your work and your life be filled with increasing peace and profound meaning. Be well, dear friend.